Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professionals free webinar. Thanks for joining with us tonight. My lovely audience, today I am your host for the evening. My name is Dina S. Gaso, uh, a public school teacher of Cebu Province, Cebu, Philippines. I am a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Commerce with certificate in professional education. I had a master's in education, major in administration and supervision, and I am an undergraduate of doctors in education, major in administration and supervision. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. I feel honored and privileged to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professionals free webinar. Thank you all for joining us tonight in this marvelous evening. And it is my humble request and pleasure to all of you to stay with us until the end. For I am sure you all will have many takeaways and payoffs from this webinar. Each time you can like and comment in our webinar. Don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in the comment section. So let's watch together and learn together. We believe that power is gained by sharing knowledge, not by hoarding it. Once again, I am your host for tonight, Dina S. Gaso from Cebu, Philippines. Every day, some new participant join with us, so I have to give little concept about IGP. Institution of Global Professionals or IGP serves student and community resource, providing holistic social work and education for creating a proficient generation. IGP is a leading on online skills development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. We make it a get able to use for every knowledge seeker to originate personality, more ambitious, make confident to face any circumstance, and develop own skills. We are entrusted with international recognition. Now, before starting our program, let me tell you about IGP. Institute of Global Professionals, or IGP, is an educational institution provides social work. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So, we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institution that serves globally and globally recognized. We organize our webinars, trainings, offline and online courses by best and trained speakers, coaches from all around the world to create the best learning platform for all of you. Our mission is to empower people and enhance. We already have completed 265 webinars successfully. We expect that you are all getting a little bit benefited in personal and professional life as we wish that you all are remaining with us in our long journey in this 266th webinar. Let me remind you again, don't forget to share, tag, and comment and mention your friends in the comment box because your attachment encourage us to do better and best audience to our lovely audience. Our mission is to empower our youth, so stay with us by your support. I am cordially welcoming you all. Today, we are presenting the webinar, the 266th online webinar with our speaker from Tarlac, Philippines, Ms. Dr. Ronnie G. Castro. He is a master teacher one of Dap National High School in Tarlac, Philippines. He is a graduate of master's degree in information technology with Doctor of Philosophy, major in educational leadership. He is a research coordinator of the school and a member of the division research team in Tarlac Province, Philippines. So let's start our program with IGP's mantra. Feed your skill. Now it's time to start our program. Our speaker is Mr. Dr. Ronnie G. Castro.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, sir. Welcome to IGP webinar online, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So again, hello everyone, hello participants and viewers on the Facebook Live. I'm Ronnie G. Castro from Philippines. I'm a public school teacher, a master teacher of Dap High School, and I'm from Tarlac, Philippines. First one, I would like to uh, extend my gratitude for the Institute of Global Professionals, especially for the chair and the different committees of the IGP. Thank you so much for having me this opportunity. And I would like also to recognize our hardworking superintendent in the Tarlac province, Dr. Ronaldo Pozon, and our very inspirational leader in our school, our principal, Dr. Ariel B. C. Calvo. And last one, of course, this would not push through, uh, if without the efforts of our Sir Redentor Tabamo of Benigno Aquino National High School, Tarlac Province. So again, good evening, good day, good afternoon, wherever you are. A blessed day to all of us. Okay. So today I'll be talking on the classroom action research and how this would help us, as teachers, improve our professions, improve the teaching and learning practices in our own classroom. Okay. So I'll be presenting my slide now.
Thank you, sir.
Is my presentation already seen online?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll be playing a so So the topic for today's session is about classroom research. Okay. So again, I'm Ronnie Castro of the Philippines. So this is my school, our school, and I'm a master teacher for this school in the senior high school. Okay. So our objectives for today's session is we're going to examine the nature of action research. Then we're going to undertake inquiries on how to conduct this action research. Next one is we're going to reflect, on how we are going to improve our teaching and learning practices in our own classroom. Then last one is after this session, it is really expected that as much as possible we are going to make difference in our own respective classroom by undertaking action research. Okay. So this is our mantra as teachers, as educators. No? Our mantra is to really raise the quality of education. But there are two questions here that we have to consider. How do we improve the quality of education for our students, for all our students? Next one is how we are going to ensure this quality of education in order to have better learning outcomes or higher learning achievements for all students. Next one is, of course, we are being challenged by the COVID-19 pandemic, wherein all around the world adjusted their educational landscape. Here in the Philippines, we implemented modular distance learning and a combination of online learning, wherein the students learn independently in their respective home-based learning through modules. Next one, it's being assisted by the teachers through online learning. Okay. So this is a great challenge for us all teachers to really address the COVID-19 pandemic and maintain the quality of education despite of this pandemic. So this is what happening in our school. We are implementing modular distance learning, wherein we prepare modules, learning activity sheets for our students, and then after distributing this modular or self-learning modules, we collect them, retrieve them, and do the checking. So it is really a tasking part on the teacher to really check everything. No? This is our mission. No? No matter what, no matter how tedious or Herculean the task is, we have to really fulfill our mission. This is to ensure quality learning for all. So this is our online learning assisted through online kumustahan. Just to give you a little bit glimpse on what happening in our school here in Tarlac Province, Philippines. Now, how do we teachers ensure quality learning? Uh, Sir Ken Robinson advised that as much as possible as teachers, we should be in divergent thinking. No? When we're going to think, we have to think for many solutions. We have to think for many answers. Our thinking should not be linear, just like this. Linear means if there is a problem, we are being blocked by the problem. And in order to move forward, we have to address the problem. But sometimes that's not the solution. Sometimes we have to skirt the problem and move the other way around in order to achieve our mission. This is to ensure quality learning. Okay. So uh, it's like thinking out of the box. But if you're going to really, examine thinking out of the box, it's not really somewhat a great, what do you call that, a direction for us teachers. For example, we are in the public education, we are confronted with different problems, especially for lack of resources, especially for lack of classroom, lack of chairs. If this lack of resources really prevent us to ensure quality learning, and this lack of resources should be addressed in order to ensure quality learning, sometimes we are being blocked to move forward. It's like moving from point A to point B and you are in the car. So you have to think outside of the car. So you are on the car. You have to move from point A to point B. Remember, you are being confronted with traffics, no? And sometimes, no, you all you have to do is to skirt around. But there is uh, a saying that tells us that think like there is no box. If there's a problem with the traffic wherein you're going to go to point A to point B, why not leave the car and do other transportation? Take the train or airplane. So it's like saying, okay, we are the problems that beset in our classroom are not these are not the blockages that we have to really solve. We can skirt this one in order to find many solutions. That's called divergent thinking. No? That's why when we grow out of the box, no, we when we move out of the box, we grow as teachers, we grow as professionals, and as an impact, we improve the quality of learning in our classroom. Okay, so one basic tool in order for us to really ensure quality learning despite of the challenges of the COVID-19 is to really do a research. Research means studying our classroom problems. Okay, so this is a great tool to really improve our practice. If we improve our practice, the result is it can really help level up the quality of learning in our own respective classroom. Okay. So first one, I would like to recognize some of the slides that I will be presenting were adapted from the presentation of Sir Joey Kizon, our SEPS or Special Education Program Specialist then. No? And he is now our district supervisor, wherein he conducted action research in one of our webinars. Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Joey Kizon. Okay. Now, the question is, why should educators conduct an action research? Anybody from our audience? Why do we need to conduct an action research? Why somebody needs to conduct research, a classroom research? Okay. So I'll just move on. Educators should conduct action research in order to have a positive change, and this change leads to quality of learning. The next one is whenever we conduct action research, we collaborate with our own co-teachers, with other professionals, in order to understand the problem and in order to improve our craft. Okay. The next one is we have, in order to improve our classroom teaching practices, the strategies that we implement in our classroom, in order for us to improve our learning outcomes of the students. Then our action researches will serve as guidelines, or it will serve as a benchmark for certain policies that can be implemented in our school in order to support the quality of learning. The next one is whenever we conduct action research, we are being transformed because we are able to really analyze our practices. Then we make reflections. If we make reflection on our practices, we are transcending our strategies in order to really support the needs of our students. Okay. Next one is really to adapt. So research is very important, especially on this COVID-19 pandemic, because of the different modalities that are being implemented online, synchronous, asynchronous, or combination of synchronous and synchronous. And we have to really identify strategies that we really support the needs of our learners. So conducting a research is adapting to the situation. So what are the challenges? These are the challenges according to Walden University 2010. No? The first one, the first challenge is to really choose the right topic. Okay, it's really hard. When I first did my action research, it really took me several revisions. It took much of my time. But whenever you completed a certain action research, it will really level up your profession. So the challenge is how to choose the right topic. Okay, in choosing the right topics, we have to really we will not go out from our classroom because our foremost concern is our students. So we have to really examine what's happening in our classroom and try to think a topic that is doable. Whenever we do action research, of course, we have to consider the situation of our students because anyone could not really uh, do the action research for quite a long time, because of course we are going to modify the setup of our students. So uh, the solution here is we have to really choose a topic that is doable, that is that is to be completed for quite a certain month or several months. Then we have to make sure that our topic will hold our interest. This is very important because if you are not interested with your topic, sometimes your drive to really complete the action research will really uh, slow down. There's a saying that whenever you go up and you stop at the middle, the tendency is you uh, fall down. So, to really sustain your interest in completing the action research is to really something that will really hold your interest. Okay, then look for a niche in which you can make difference. Sometimes when we're going to think of the research, it's really very broad, no? But there is only one consideration whenever we conduct our research, our students. We have to really make difference in the life of our students. So if we can make a difference, they will also make the difference among themselves. It's like paying it forward. Okay. The next one is choosing the right methodology. Okay. Uh, the solution is the best way to choose is not to choose. Okay. The because the topic really dictates your methodology. So whenever we choose a methodology, the methodology that we're going to adopt should really address the problems. Okay, it's our focus. We should align everything from the title, from the introduction, and the methodology that we're going to use. Okay. The next one is how to deal with your data. Okay. When we're going to deal with our research data, of course, we have to go back with the methodology. And the methodology is based on our research questions. Later on, we're going to study this one in details. Then, how to interpret your data. Sometimes other researchers are really confronted with the challenge of interpreting the data. But based on my experience, there's no really a problem in interpreting your data. Your just make the data drive your discussion. That's it. That's only the concern. No, don't think so much of other data. Just focus on your data, interpret your data, and do the recommendations. Okay. So I'll be present here. We have guiding principles in the conduct of research. This is adapted from our Department of Education here in the Philippines. First one is we're going to have excellence. Whenever we do action research, of course, research is a scientific based paper. So we have really follow a certain format in order for us to produce a good research. Okay. The next one is appropriate research methods. There are certain standard methods that we're going to adopt in order to really sustain the excellence in our conduct, in the conduct of our research. Okay. Then it should be logical, coherent, and evidence-based findings. The findings should be focused only on the result of the data, okay, that you gathered and interpreted. Next one is integrity, high ethical standard. Whenever we conduct research, is sometimes we are being locked into plagiarism. Okay, and as much as possible, whenever we do discussion, I usually do is read the text, and then after reading the text, in order for us to really circumvent or limit the problem of plagiarism, is whenever I read a certain abstract or a certain text, is I read first, then I close, then I start writing. That's my basic guide, so that I would not be overwhelmed with the discussion. Sometimes you will be overwhelmed with the discussion, wherein uh, It's like you are being tempted to copy because the discussion is uh, s- presented well. So my technique for that is really read this abstract, read the conclusion, and close the conclusion and start writing my interpretations. And it should be honest and accurate. That's why we're going to use statistical methods in order for us to really, uh, interpret the data. Then openness. Whenever we conduct research, sometimes we are being confronted. We are being confronted that there is a significant on the strategies that we implemented in our classroom. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes the strategies that you implemented in your classroom, then after the statistical treatment that you have done, it's not really significant. So you have to report that. No matter what is the result, we have to report in our research. That's openness. Okay, we should be truthful and timely in the dissemination of our results. Here in the Philippines, especially in the Tarlac province, all researchers are required to really uh, present their action research results, whether in school-based or in division. So this is one way of uh, presenting the different strategies and encouraging other teachers to really conduct action research in their respective classroom. Okay, so I would like to present to you my one of my action research. It's skills performance of computer programming students on collaborative formative assessment with exit sleep. Later on, we are going to discuss the detail of action research. But for now, we have to. I will be presenting a sample action research that I did because I want that whenever somebody is going to hear action research is really overwhelming. But action research is really only addressing the problems besetting the classroom environments that we are having. Okay, so I have here. It's very simple one. I use the exit sleep. No? So I have here three questions. Things I learned today wherein the students is going to write the things that they have learned after the lesson. Second one is things I found interesting, the one that made them excited during the discussion. Then second one is the questions that they have still. This is only my intervention that I provided to my students, but just a little bit tweak on this, wherein uh, all my formative quizzes were done through group collaborations. So they did their quizzes by group. Then my individual formative assessment is using exit sleep, wherein they answer these three questions. I have here a sample exit sleep that was done during my action research. Okay, and I found out that using exit sleep and for making students collaborate had a significant impact on their learning achievement. Then another action research that I did recently is the infographics on the individual learning progress as communication feedback. This time, what I did is usually as teachers we provide numbers for all the quizzes, for all the formative scores that were done by the students, so that they will be informed how well they perform on those formative assessments that we implemented in our classroom. So what I did is a little bit modification on that. Instead of providing numbers, I use graph, and I use simple Microsoft Excel graph, wherein I just input numbers. Then these scores are being uh, transformed into graph. So I have here the solid line means these are the actual score of the students, and the dotted lines are the projection. How well the students perform? Is it progressing or uh, uh, constant, or the scores are getting lower? So this is the simple one that I did. So as a result, there is a significant improvement on their learning achievement. And these two action researches that I did were really adopted by school, wherein some of our teachers in our school adopted the exit sleep as a form of formative assessment. And this time for the infographics, only one teacher adopted. At least you are not only making difference in your classroom, likewise you are making difference among your co-teachers. Okay? So we are going to go now to the detail of action research. So what is action research? Of course, action research is addressing the problems and issues. And who are going to address this one? Us teachers, because we are the direct, uh, what do you call that? We are directly involved on these problems and issues in our classrooms. As a teacher, we have to really address this one. Okay. So the educator or practitioner is the best judge to address these problems and issues because we are indirect uh, in terms of implementations, in terms of solving problems in our classroom. Okay. So action research is an approach to improve education. It is an approach to improve the quality of learning in our respective classroom. It's one way of being critical on our practices. It's one way of changing uh, uh, the common practices that somehow really hamper the quality of educations. So we have to really make a difference. In making a difference, we have to really change our practices. We have to reflect on our practices in order for us to really analyze our practices. We're going to use action research. We're going to do action research. So action research it is learning by doing because we are directly involved in presenting and implementing our action research. We are directly involved in gathering the data and interpreting the data, and somehow it will change our classroom practices. Okay. This is a basic assumption. Teachers and other educational professionals have the authority to make decisions. As teachers, we have the academic freedom inside our classroom. We have the academic freedom to implement the best strategies that we perceive in our classroom in order for us to really uh, improve the learning of our learners. Next one is teachers and other education professionals want to improve their practices. Again, uh, this is teaching practices are interlocked with the quality of learning of our students. Okay? Whenever we reflect on our practices, we make changes on these practices, and somehow it will uh, return to our students in terms of their improved learning outcomes. Next one is teachers and other educational professionals are committed. We should be committed. As professionals, learning must continue. Learning must never stop. Okay? Because we are moving forward. We don't have any choice, even though we are in the pandemic. We have to really adapt and move forward and adjust our teaching practices in order to address these challenges brought by COVID-19 pandemic. Especially we are adapting different learning modalities, whether it's synchronous, asynchronous, or in the print modular, wherein the students are going to answer activity sheets in their respective home environment. Okay? Teachers and other education professionals have the capacity to engage. Here in our school, it's already established that all teachers who have conducted their action researchers are going to share. So in one of our trainings, we did share of our the result of our action researches. And next one is teachers and other education professionals will do everything to get promoted. Of course, this is not our main goal. Our main goal is to really improve. But whenever we do action research, it will somehow will help us get promoted because here in the Philippines, teachers who conducted action research are given higher points in terms of their promotions. So, what are the steps? So, we're going to go now to the steps of conducting action research. Okay. So, here we have 5 steps presented by Bondoc et al. As of 2014. So, it's a cycle because whenever we conduct an action research, after the interpretation, we diagnose again. We improve our teaching strategies based on the recommendations that we provided in our research. So we diagnose, when we do action planning, then we do action, we take another action, then we are going to evaluate and we are going to specify, we are going to uh, determine the results of our action research. Okay. So the first one is we're going to diagnose. We are going to identify the problems. Okay. So according to Mettler and Charles, the 2011, these are the possible topics that we're going to have, in our classroom. So first one is classroom management. Somehow, if we perceive that there's a problem with our classroom management, we have to really identify what are the causes of these misbehaviors among the students. Then we're going to analyze what might be the possible intervention that we're going to do. Right? So we are already identifying a certain topic. Then next one is we're going to have our instructional methods. So aside from classroom behaviors, we can identify different instructional methods. Like for example, we're going to use software wherein the students will do their assessment or their independent learning. Then next one is we can also look in our grading and evaluation, how we grade and how we evaluate our students. In my first action research, especially on the formative assessment, instead of having individual formative assessment, what we did is group formative assessment. The reason why I set group formative assessment because I observed that many of our students really don't mingle with their classmates. So I really group them so that they will encourage each other in order to participate in the lesson. Okay, conferencing on how teachers conduct the synchronous learning or synchronous learning online. The next one is we're going to have the gap analysis. When we do the gap analysis, we're identifying the problems. For example, we have here what should be. For example, all 60 students must be readers. But we found out that only 45 students are only readers. So there are 15 students who are non-readers. Excuse me for the meantime. Okay. So the gap is there are 15 students who are non-readers. Of course, as a teacher, we are not going to leave these 15 students. Our mantra is no one left behind. So we have to really make sure that everybody, all learners in our classroom, learn based on the standards that are being set in our lesson. Next one is all 60 students must attend the afternoon session, but only 43 students are regularly attending the PM session. So there are 17 students. So this is one way of identifying the possible topic of your research. We're going to identify the problems. Okay. Last one is what is the gap? 20 students perform poorly in algebra. So we have to address this one. So this time we're going to identify how urgent the concern is. So we're going to identify, for example, 15 students are non-readers. So relevance is 5, importance is 5, urgency 5, feasibility is 5. I think this is the first one that should be addressed. So, of course, when we do diagnosing in our classroom, we identify several problems. And this one will really help us in terms of urgency, in terms of priority of our research topic. So, for example, here it's 20, it's the 20 over 20. So, this is a priority. Of course, if students or learners are non-readers, it has a progressing effect on other subjects, especially for math. If they don't understand the text, of course, they could not interpret, they could not apply the strategies required in solving algebra. Okay. Next one, identify the root cause. What are the possible immediate root causes of the most relevant? Okay. So whenever we identify root causes, as much as possible, we're going to take note of this because these root causes are being discussed in our introductions. We have to really present our the root causes of our the root causes that we identified in our classroom, and this should be discussed in the introduction part of our action research because we are addressing a certain problem. Next one is so here example poor arithmetic skills. So the evidences. So when we how we identified that there is a poor performance in terms of arithmetic skill because of their arithmetic tests that we conducted or in their formative assessment. Okay. The next one is limited parental support. So how we identify the evidences, we interview the parents and the students, okay, and other uh, root causes. Next one is after identifying the problems, now we're going to do an action. This time we're going to identify strategies that will really solve the problem that we identified. The most urgent, the priority problem that we're going to address. So here we have again example. We have 20 students perform poorly in algebra. So we have here poor arithmetic skills. What is the possible intervention? We could use software games or change our teaching strategy. For example, we're going to use what do they call that one? Arithmetic tiles or manipulative skills or manipulative arithmetic, wherein the students will be counting sticks, for example. Then we're going to really test in our classroom. Sometimes, whenever we implement strategies, we perceive that these are already common. But remember, even though these are common, we are going to address the needs, the problem inside our classroom. And how these strategies really make a difference in the learning of our students. Even though it's a common strategy, it's a common teaching strategy, but if we perceive that this would really make a significant difference in the learning of our students, why not? We have to really address that one because our most concerned is our students. The next one is limited parental support. So we're going to uh, strategize on how we are going to make our parents more engaged in the assistance of their children, especially this pandemic. In my one of my action research, I found out that parents are were engaged in the learning of their children, but somehow they are not really engaged in terms of making follow up with advisors. So this time, one of our strategies in our school is really instead of having making a communication, active communication with the students, we strengthen communication with our parents on how we provide guidance in providing assistance to their children. Okay, so here you can try algebra tiles or any manipulative uh, s- uh, strategies or even algebra software. Okay, so here you can use ICT, formative assessment, just like what's being used in the internet, wherein the students will be taking, for example, using Google Forms. We can try that one using Google Forms and how our students respond on this Google Forms. There are many websites wherein the students could provide or can post their interactive activities online. Okay, we can try that one, and how let's see how our students uh, perform on this, and if we can make adjustment on the strategies so that it would fit on the environment of our students. Okay, this time we're going to do the action plan. Okay, after identifying the alternative solution to the problem at hand, you can start doing we can start doing the action plan. Okay, so here we're going to identify the strategy. So for example, in my case, I use the exit sleep as formative assessment. Then what are the strategies? So so this exit sleep is used as a formative assessment. However, they are going to have their uh, formative assessment as a group. Then you're going to specify your target date when you're going to implement this intervention. Because if we're not going to plan, there's a possibility that the school year is already ended, but we have not yet started our uh, action plan. Then when you're going to collect the data, these four factors are very important in order for us to complete our action research. Okay. So after action planning, we are going to write the research proposal. In here in the Philippines, whenever we do the action research, we submit first our proposal in our uh, division, wherein they're going to provide assistance on how we go through with our research proposal. Okay. The next one is we're going to take an action. This time we're going to implement strategies now. Okay. So we're going to implement the approved action research proposal. This time, when we're going to take actions, it's really very important that we have to prepare the necessary, what do you call that one, tools that we need in order to gather data. For example, whenever we, in my action researches, I usually use the, what do you call that, pre-test and post-test test. Make sure that these two are ready. Okay, so we're going to do the pre-testing, then we do the intervention. Then after the intervention, we compare with our post test if there is a significant difference. Okay. Next one is we're going to evaluate. So after implementing the strategies in your classroom, you're going to evaluate. This time you're going to use statistical analysis. So you're going to conduct the post testing because we are going to compare uh, the different groups, the control and experimental group. Later on, we're going to have a further discussion on this. Then we're going to subject our raw data for statistical treatment. Uh, in my action research, this is usually my, what do you call that one, Achilles heel, weakness, wherein uh, in terms of computing the data of my action research. For us teachers, as we could ask assistance from our teachers, especially those who are math teachers, to do the computation. In my action researches, I ask assistance from our math teachers to do the computation. Okay. Next one is we're going to specify. This time we're going to determine the outcome of our action research. Okay, so we're going to interpret the results, then we're going to outline our findings, then we do the conclusions and recommendations. Okay, so we are on the we're going to have the summary of the step. The first one in conducting an action research is we're going to diagnose. We're going to identify the problem through the gap analysis that we did a while ago. The next one is we're going to identify the urgency. Of course, we have to address the most pressing issue, the most urgent, okay, issue in our classroom. Then we're going to identify the root causes in terms of importance, relevance, and urgency, and making sure that this topic that we're going to do is doable. Okay. And next one is we're going to do the action planning. We're going to have we're going to identify alternative solution. This time we're going to identify teaching strategies. We're going to modify our classroom because we're going to implement a certain strategy wherein the students will be subject into. Then we're going to formulate our data collection plan. That's why we're going to set the dates. Then proposal for technical assistance. Next one is we're going to take actions. Sorry. Then so we're going to do the pre-testing because we're going to compare. Then we're going to implement our intervention. Then we're going to take the significant events. The significant events, especially in terms of the difference between the pre-test and post-test of our students. Next one is the post-testing. This time we're going to compare the performance of our students from the different groups that we're going to have. Then we're going to have the statistical treatment of our data. And the last one is we're going to interpret the results. Okay? Then we're going to do the conclusion and recommendations. And we submit our action research final report. Okay? So it's a continual progress. So diagnose, action planning, evaluating, then specifying, then we're going to diagnose again. So whenever we conduct an action research, it's a continuous process. So in my case, after I use the exit sleep, I use another one, no, to address other issues. That's why I implemented collaborative learning. Then I implemented a simple presentation infographics in terms of providing the scores or the learning performance of my students. Okay, so we are almost on the final part. So what are the major sections of the action research? So first one is the rationale. So the rationale presents the problems and issues and how these issues are being addressed by other researchers. Okay, first, if there's a problem, there's no action research. Okay. So we're going to include a discussion on the root causes and efforts of the problems that we identified. That's why I mentioned a while ago that we have to really compile the formative assessment, or what they call that one, the summative assessment of our students, because this will serve our immediate data. Because when we're going to discuss the rationale, we can present it in using document analysis. For example, you're going to discuss based on document analysis on the formative assessment of the students or the summative assessment that the students perform poor in their arithmetic skills. Okay. The next one is we're going to have the statement of the problems. So we're going to identify the areas of concerns. This time, the statement of the problem should be anchored on your topic. Okay. So there are difficulties involved here, but we're going to provide simple guides here. So general statement anchored to the title. This is very important. because the perceived problem in the topic, the search topic, the research problem will specify on how these problems in terms of data are being gathered and addressed. Okay, so we have here general statement, which is anchored on the title. I usually use in my general statement the study investigates, then capture the title of the research. Then the specific problems, here you're going to identify what are the possible data that you're going to gather. Uh, and these data are the variables that you're going to specify. So whenever we do the statement of the problem, it should be in interrogative form. What, how, is there? Okay, let's see an example. Okay, the research question should imply the research type and general methodology. So one example is, does exploration using dynamic geometry software increase the conceptual understanding of circles? Okay, than the traditional chalk and talk discussion. Okay, here you're going to have the experimental research, and you're going to see if there is significant difference between the traditional approach of teaching compared with the use of the geometry software. So it's a quantitative research. So here you can already perceive that the type of the research is an experimental and it is a quantitative research design. So all these are really interlinked with the title. Okay. Another example is for the teachers. Do teachers behave differently towards students of different genders? This time it's more on the comparative or quantitative or mixed method. I'll not be delving on details of quantitative and mixed method because it would really take time. So this one, another example is, how do parents feel about the school counseling programs? Maybe you can change this one. How do parents feel about the online synchronous and asynchronous learning of their children? Okay, so it's more on the survey research design and still a quantitative research. So by reading on the question, you can already conclude that it's quantitative research and somehow perceive that it's already a survey research in terms of design. Okay. Okay. Here, according to Freikel et al. 2013, the question should be feasible. It should be feasible because you're going to gather data. Feasible in a sense that it should be completed in a certain month or months, because we cannot really do research for the entire school year because it will modify our classroom setup. Okay, the question is clear, and the question should be anchored on the title and the method that you're going to use, and the question is significant, of course, and the question should be ethical. We should not be asking question that somehow it would violate the privacy of our learners. Okay. So here we have three examples for questions. How is the retention skills of the grade 5 pupils? So next one, is there a significant? This time you're going to compare. So here you can conclude that there are two groups involved here because you're going to compare if there is a difference between the control and experimental group. Okay. Then the third one is, based on the result of your research, you're going to make recommendations. Okay. So here, another part of the research is you're going to have the hypothesis, usually stated in the null form. Okay. Let's see an example. So the study aims to test the following hypothesis. Okay. So it should be in the null form. Anyway, you can have it in the alternate form, but usually it is presented, in our case here in the Philippines, here in the Tarlac province, it's presented in the null form. So here, there is no significant difference between the pretest results of the control and experimental group. Then the last one, number 4, there is no significant difference between the post-test results of the control and experimental group. Okay. Next one, next part of the study is we're going to have the significance of the study. This time, you're going to present who are the beneficiaries of your research. We're going to discuss how they benefit on the research outcomes of our action research. Okay. Then a simple glimpse on the type of study. So we have here, mostly for the action research, we are implementing quantitative research, but you can have with qualitative research also. Okay, but I'll be focusing more on the quantitative research. So I'll be focusing more on the group comparison because we're going to have the two groups. Now, we're going to divide the class into two groups: the control group and the experimental group. So it's an experimental research design. So we can have the pre-experimental, wherein we have only one group, then quasi-experimental. Okay. Again, we select a certain class wherein we're going to implement our action research. Then the true experimental, wherein we're going to have randomization in terms of participants of our action research. Okay. So for the true experimental, random assignment is really required, and we have two groups for this. Okay. So sample illustration for the pre-test and post-test control group design. So here, the R signifies that the two groups are randomly assigned. Then the O means I implemented the pre-test, then the post-test. Okay. And the X is the treatment. So here, the O1 and O2, wherein this is my what we call that one experimental group. Then the O3 and O4 is my control group. What we commonly call here in the Philippines is the traditional approach. So I'm not really expert on the statistical analysis, but I'll just present you a simple on how to select participants. So if we have big number of participants, we can use a Slobin formula in order to have at least uh, statistically significant number of participants. But in our case, for our classroom would be enough. For example, we have 30 learners. We can have it two groups, 15 learners for the control and 15 learners for the experimental. And these learners should be randomly distributed between these two groups. Okay. So random sampling. So this should be discussed in the research methodology that random sampling is implemented. It can be in the lottery, cluster form, or stratified, or what they call it, fishball. There are many techniques. Next one is here. Uh, this preparing this instrument is somewhat tasking because especially when you're going to prepare your pre-test and post-test, you have to really do some statistical in terms of validating your test. For example, you prepared 50 items. We have to subject it to validity and reliability tests, sorry. And these two tests require statistical computations. So I'll just provide you a glimpse on this because I really accept that I'm not really expert on this. Okay. So we could ask someone who is expert on this to help us on our instruments. Okay, so we're going to have in our 50 pre-test questions, we're going to have the item analysis. Why we need to provide item analysis? We have to remove those, what do you call that one, easier questions or what do you call it, ambiguous questions. Okay, and these ambiguous questions can be determined using statistical treatment. Okay, so Here, if the reliability is 0.70 in our computation, generally our pre-test and post-test are generally good, which means we can use it in our action research. But if the result of our statistical computation is 50, we have to really revise our questionnaire, because somehow, based on the statistical computation, somehow there are ambiguous questions wherein the students were not able to understand the questions. By the way, when we're going to do the validity and reliability tests, we're going to conduct our pre-test and post-test to our students who are not part of our participants. So we're going to use another classes, what they call that, a dummy classes, where they're going to take the pre-test. They're going to take the test, then gather their score and do the computations. Okay, so it's somewhat really tasking, you know? But we need to really have this one in order for us to really ensure that our prepared test questionnaires are really accepted in terms of statistical significance. Okay, so here we're going to analyze each question whether we're going to retain or not based on the result of the test. Okay, it's a little bit technical. Okay, reliability tests. So this time we're going to use the Kuder-Richardson formula. Okay, wherein if we got 0, there is no reliability. If we got 1, there's a perfect reliability, wherein we can use our tests in conducting of our research. Okay, so here in the Philippines, we follow this format. Okay, as you can see in your screen. So we have here the title page, the context and rationale. Under the context and rationale, we have our research questions, hypothesis, significance, and scope and limitations. Then we specify the method of our research, the type of research, respondents, and sampling. Then our data collection procedures. Okay. Then we sign an agreement, a plagiarism agreement. Okay. So it's action research is a little bit less formal compared with our research thesis format. Okay, and these are my references. And that's all. Thank you and mabuhay. Thank you so much for bracing this activity and sessions. And thank you so much for your time. And thank you for the Institute of Global Professionals. Mabuhay. So I'll stop sharing now. Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Unmute your microphone, please.
Sorry. Hello, sir.
Hello,
Thank
ma.
you very much for that amazing presentation of your topic
Thank you.
entitled Classroom Action Research, which is actually utilized by your school, Dap High School of Tarlac Province,
Yes, ma'am.
Philippines. So proud of
Likewise,
you, and
ma'am.
so is your principal.
Yeah,
I
thank
saw
you.
his comments, sir. We are obliged to you for your marvelous presentation and giving us your valuable time. This session will be effective and useful to our audience because you shared your intelligible knowledge with us. Indeed, it was a lovely and super dynamic presentation. I believe you are able to give beautiful insights on this topic, classroom action research, the 266th International Group of Professionals webinar, and that the participants got the important takeaways. Thank you so much, Dr. Ronnie Castro, for giving us your valuable time and sharing your knowledge with us all tonight. Participants, viewers from all around the globe, don't forget to share, like, and comment in International Group of Professionals webinar. Thank you so much, Dr. Castro.
Likewise, ma'am.
At this juncture, we will move to the presentation for the quiz and answer portion, followed by the certification process. So let's have a quiz. Okay, let us proceed to the quiz. Number 1. So the code for the quiz is IGP quiz. Okay, a strategic method to help focus and decide on what steps to take to achieve certain goals. The answer is action planning or taking action. 90% answered action planning. Let us check. Okay, congratulations, Feroz Akbarov, Romel Jan Aquino, Lamberto Pelatan Jr., Ginalyn Villar Resurrection. This is a step involves post-testing and subjective raw data to proper statistical treatment, evaluation, or specifying learning. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is evaluation. Congratulations, Lamberto Pelatan Jr., Nico Denmiro, Ginalyn Villar Resurrection, 3/3. It includes the discussion of the root causes and effects of the problems. A. Rationale. Statement of the problem. The answer is statement of the problem, rationale, 49%. So again, Nico Dinmero, 4/4. Romel Jan Aquino, Velma Boladas, Lizelle Gabaldon. Congratulations. It is a process in which participants examine their own educational practice systematically and carefully using the techniques of research, action research, applied research. It is a process in which participants examine their own educational practice systematically and carefully. The answer is, of course, action research. Congratulations. Wow. 5/5. Romel Jan Aquino, Nico Dinmero, Lizelle Gabaldon, Velma Buladas. The goal of this thinking is to generate many different ideas about a topic in a short period of time. Is it critical thinking or divergent thinking? A goal of this thinking is to generate many different ideas about a topic in a short period of time. And the answer is divergent thinking. So again, from the leaderboard, Romel Jan Aquino, Nico Dinmero, Lizelle Gabaldon, Velma Boladas got the correct answer. It is a reflective process in which teachers gather empirical data to improve their teaching practices, action research, or investigatory project. It is a reflective process in which teachers gather empirical data to improve their teaching practices. The answer is action research. So 3 questions left. Congratulations. Nico Dinmero, Ginalyn Villar Resurrection, Nong Lak Han, Ana Marie Joy Mercado. Congratulations. The 8th question. The research question should imply the research type and general methodology. True or false? The research questions should imply the research type and general methodology. True or false? And the answer is true. Divergent thinking sees multiple answers, not one. Is it a true or a false? Divergent thinking sees multiple answers, not one. And the answer is 92% said it's true. Congratulations again. Nico Dinmero, Nong Lat Han, Ginalyn Villar Resurrection, Ana Marie Joy Mercado, and others. I cannot read. So for the last questions, the last but not the least, action research is a formal traditional educational research. True or false? Action research is a formal traditional educational research. Is it a true? Is it false? The answer is 72% said it's true, while 28% said it's false. And the answer is 28% false. Congratulations, everyone. Wow. Nico Denmero, congratulations. Not Lathon, Ginalyn Villar Resurrection, and so on. Congratulations. Quiz competition winners top 10. Nico Denmero, Nong Lathon, Ginalyn Villar Resurrection, Lamberto Pelatan Jr., Ana Marie Joy Mercado, Rosmalin Rosel, for our top 7 is Neljen Rubibi. Top 8 is Maria Cetadel Cantillas. Top 9 is Felenta Junior Villacora. And of course, our top 10. Congratulations, quiz competition winners, top 10. So a question from Manoleta Ramos Oligo. Although there are promising benefits brought by action research, it still remains a challenge among public teachers. Why is this happening?
Hello. Thank you for the question, Ma'am Manolita Ramos Oligo. It's really very challenging on the part of the teachers because, of course, as teachers, we are more tasked on fulfilling or preparing our lessons. But this can be what they call that. The administrator and us teachers could provide technical assistance to our co-teachers in order for other teachers to do action research. Just like in our school, they are really establishing uh, with the leadership of our principal to really establish action research in our school and to inspire these teachers. Those teachers who conducted action researches uh, will serve as the speakers in our school-based training wherein they're going to share action researches so that the other teachers will be inspired. And after this sharing of outcomes, technical assistance or series of webinars or trainings are conducted in our school. I think the best solution for this is someone should take an action research in the school. When someone is able to complete an action research, it will somehow influence other teachers. And the administration is able to recognize this one and establish really the use of action research in improving the learning outcomes of our students. Even though it's really very tasking. But with the leadership of our school heads or and our principals, technical assistance will be provided so that teachers are guided on how to conduct these researches that they're going to do.
Thank you, sir.
Um, Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
Dr.
I
Castro.
provided illumination on your questions, ma'am.
So, any other question?
Could I address one of the question that was posted a while ago, ma'am?
What was that, sir?
Uh, it says that I just state it in general form that why teachers are always blamed, in terms of the quality of learning in the classroom. Of course, no. And it's like saying it's a dance between two, it's a tango dance, no. On my side, if we're not going to do the initiative, if we're not going to do the first step, nothing will happen. We're going to just put the blame to to the administration. But for us teachers, if we're going to start the initiative of doing the research, then the administration will support on this, will provide support in establishing the action research.
Indeed. Yes, sir.
If we're not going to do the first step as teachers, when we're going to wait for other to solve the problem in our classroom, I think we cannot move forward. We always do the first step. Okay, sige. Okay, ma'am. I'll just
Okay, so Ma'am Manoleta Ramos Oligo has a follow-up question. How does DepEd address the issue on public teachers seeing action research as challenging?
here in the Philippines, our DepEds. I'll just answer this one based on our context here in the Tarlac province. Actually, in our setup, I would like to thank Ma'am Queenie in our divisions, wherein in in our region, in Central Luzon, our Tarlac province had the most number of proposals. Our division submitted around 160 proposals. And among the different provinces in the Central Luzon, we had the most number of proposals. Of course, this would not happen without the support of the division. Okay? So I think the initiative to really establish the action research and the different division is through our division is on the research wherein they conducted several trainings. Aside from conducting the several trainings, there should be what do you call that one? A research coordinator that should be research coordinator per school, wherein this research coordinator will meet together in the division and how they would provide technical assistance. Because here in our province, if we're going to submit our research proposal to the divisions, it's really a Herculean task for them to really check all the proposals, and they have limited number of personnel. So what we are doing here is we have the research team include this includes the research coordinator per school, wherein the research coordinator will provide the technical assistance. And after providing the technical assistance in the school, Then this research proposal will be submitted in the division, and it will be evaluated by division team composed of other researchers, wherein they're going to examine and provide technical assistance on these researches. So in terms of compliance, it made a big difference because before we have to wait several weeks in order for us to have our proposals be corrected. This time we have really solved that problem, wherein if you submitted a research proposal, we have to wait for several weeks instead of months already.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that answer. Okay, so another question from Olego again. How will public school teachers initiate when they are bombarded with tight teaching workloads and ancillary roles performed by teachers?
It's really a very tasking part, really. In my case, my subject loads were really overloaded. It's really beyond the regular loads, the 6 hours. I even had loads from uh, around, I teach at 8 a.m. and I ended up at 3 p.m. straight. No? But we can still manage. Of course, with the inspiration of our principals and head teachers, we can manage. We are not alone, especially if this, it's really very important that the research coordinator is being established in the school, because this research coordinator will provide assistance in terms of writing, in terms of formulating the research cursor. It will really help a lot whenever the teacher is going to do a research in terms of likewise for identifying a certain problem and making this one into a research topic. Research coordinator will plays a significant role that in order for the teacher to complete the action research.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, Ma'am Oligo, let us be inspired. So, any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ma'am Manolita.
No more questions? Okay. So, thank you very much, Ma'am Manolita Olego, for your questions, and Dr. Ronnie Castro for answering for all those questions properly and knowledgeably. So, before we will end, I would like to thank our knowledge speaker. I would like to thank you all from the deep of my heart for attending to this session. Hopefully, you learn something new and you will implement it in your life and in your school. What you have learned from Dr. Castro tonight. Please don't forget to leave a review and recommend our page, International Group of Professionals. And if you learn something or will help you a little bit, don't forget to collect your E certificate and obviously give a check-in with IGP. Please spread information with your friends and your colleagues. We hope to see you all again next webinar. Thank you so much. Stay happy and safe. Uh, well answered by our speaker, Dr. Ronnie Castro. Thank you so much, Dr. Castro, our guest speaker for tonight.
Thank you
Master
also.
Teacher 1 from Dapdap High School of Tarlac Province. Thank you very much. And don't forget to collect your ACE certificate from our website or by the link mentioned after session get over. Before we part goodbye, let me acknowledge my alluring, warm identities who was so patient and attentive throughout the session. Dear listeners, participants, I am so much obliged for you all from the core of my heart taking part of today's session. I am confident and positive that you might have gained, picked up, and learned something new today in which will surely be a part and use in your life and in your career growth. My worthy viewers, I would like not to request all of you to please leave a review of today's session and also recommend our page if you learned something from us. Thank you so much. We can understand our services, your attachment and pleasure. We hope to see you all again in the upcoming webinar. Until then, thank you. Brave the pandemic with smile, sunshine, warmth, and positivity. Stay happy and stay safe. I am your host, Dina S. Gaso, signing out.
Thank you so much also.
Thank you so much. Dear learners, we saw that this moment you feel difficulties with using the website. We noticed all the things and working on it, which is not a problem, but still our technical team working on it. Thanks for your patience. For the certificate, please collect the certification link and certificate code at this moment and try it in your free time. We saw that it occurs when lots of users want to join our website. This is a temporary problem with our hosting provider. Again, thanks for your patience. Today's certification process, November 27. The certification code is for classroom action research the code is IGP 5656. Without the code, no one is eligible for certificates. Again, the code is IGP 5656. Without the code, no one is eligible for the certificates. With the code, if you have the code, you can claim your certificates anytime. Without an account on our website, you can visit, but you can't do anything functionally. Don't forget to please take a picture or a screenshot of the code. Again, IGP 5656. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you IGP. Thank you Dr. Ronnie Castro and all the personalities and identities behind this successful webinar for tonight entitled Classroom Action Research from International Group of Professionals. Again, this is your host, Dina S. Gaso, signing out. Have a blissful evening, everyone.